So, welcome everyone, and thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. So, let's explore the buzzword boundaries. So, if you have spent any time in any kind of self help, wellness, therapy, even Instagram, you've probably heard this word a lot. Set boundaries, hold boundaries. Boundaries are self care. Boundaries are everything. If something is wrong with your life, the answer is probably boundaries. Partner being difficult, boundaries. Family is overwhelming, boundaries. Your friend is asking for too much, that's boundaries too. A coworker is stepping on your toes, and you guessed it, it's also boundaries. So the word has become so common that it has almost lost meaning. It is thrown around as the answer to everything, without much exploration of what it actually means or might mean. Now, a lot of people, this is just me talking from my experience, a lot of people are using the word without really understanding the essence, that they've learnt that boundaries are good and they should have them, and saying no is empowering. But when it comes to actually setting a boundary, knowing where it needs to be, and holding it without guilt, not using it as a weapon, it gets really murky and we fail. Because boundaries have also been co-opted. Sometimes they are used to punish, to control, to shut people out while feeling righteous about it. I am setting a boundary can become a code for I am done with you, and I have the language now to make it sound healthy and therapeutic. So, if any of this is resonating with you, let's explore this a little bit deeper now. Let us talk about what boundaries actually are, not the buzzword, but the essence. Because when you understand it, everything changes. Now, here is what boundaries actually are: an act of self love, so your wounded parts can stay safe and not be re traumatized. And I'll say this again: boundaries, an act of self love, so your wounded parts can stay safe and not be re traumatized. Let me unpack that for you. You have tender places in you, wounds from your past, parts of you that carry pain, that are vulnerable, and that can get hurt if not protected. Boundaries are the protection for those tender places. They are not walls, because walls keep everything out. Boundaries are more like a gate. You choose what comes in, and you choose what stays out. You choose who gets access to the tender places and who does not. So the purpose of a boundary is not to control other people. It is not to punish them for their past wrongs. And it is not to prove a point or to win an argument or for you to convince yourself that you are now being the best version of you. The purpose simply is to keep your wounded parts safe. To say this is what I can handle. This is what I cannot. This is where I need protection so that old wounds do not keep getting reopened. This is where I need protection so that the old wounds do not keep getting reopened. Boundaries also clarify where you end and another person begins. And this might sound obvious, but for many people, especially those who grew up in toxic family environments, who learn to fawn and people please, this line can be very blurry at times. So you might take on other people's emotions as your responsibility. You might feel guilty for having needs. and you might not know where their stuff ends and your stuff begins. So a boundary says, this is me, this is you. I am responsible for my feelings, my needs, and my well being, and you are responsible for yours. I can care about you without carrying you. Yeah? I can care about you without carrying you. So, this is the essence. It's not a weapon, it's not a wall, it's a loving act of protection for the parts of you that need it. So, if boundaries are so important, why are they so hard? Now, for many people, boundaries were not allowed growing up. And if you tried to have a boundary, if you tried to say no, to protect yourself, to have your own space, it was either overridden, punished, or shamed. So maybe your parents did not respect your physical boundaries. Entering your room without knocking, reading your diary, touching you when you didn't want to be touched. Maybe your emotional boundaries were violated. You were not allowed to have your own feelings, or your feelings were dismissed. Or maybe you were responsible for managing everyone else's emotions in the house. Maybe saying no led to rage, withdrawal of love, or being told that you were selfish. So you learned boundaries are dangerous. Having needs is dangerous, and saying no will cost you love. Now, there is absolutely no judgment on anybody's journey. Nobody chooses their early life experiences. Life happens to us. Our parents, our caregivers, whoever, people around us may have the best intentions. But sometimes, because of circumstances we do not control or create, these wounds are created. Regardless, you are left with this in your nervous system, in your body, in your subconscious, in your cells. That boundaries are dangerous. Having needs is dangerous. And saying no will cost you love. And then you develop strategies. Then you became a people pleaser, maybe. Then you started making everyone happy so they would not be angry or leave. Then you maybe became a fawner, going along with whatever others wanted to stay safe. Or maybe you stopped having boundaries altogether. Now you're here. You're not just an adult, you're also a self-aware adult. You intellectually know boundaries are good. And you've read all the books, you've highlighted all the key paragraphs, you've seen all the posts, you've heard all the advice from your friends. But when it comes to actually setting one, your body still panics. And your nervous system screams danger. So you feel guilty, selfish, terrified of the consequences. It's like my conscious mind knows exactly what to do. It has the full blueprint, but my body is not on board with any of this. So, this is not weakness at all. This is survival adaptation. Your system learned that boundaries were not safe, and your system is still running that program. So just because your conscious mind has learned something new, doesn't mean your body, your subconscious, your nervous system is on board. So the work here is not just learning to say no and using the right words and setting boundaries. It is actually teaching your nervous system that you can say no and still survive. You can have a boundary and still be loved. And that you protecting yourself is not selfish at all. It's an act of self-love. It's necessary. Let me make an important distinction now. Healthy boundaries. Healthy boundaries come from self-love, from knowing what you need, from protecting your tender places so you can stay regulated and present. They are about you, your limits, your needs, your well being, and it's not about controlling someone else. A healthy boundary sounds like this. Just an example. I am not able to talk about this right now. I need some space tonight. I cannot take on that responsibility. This does not work for me. There's no power play here, there's no hidden meaning, there's no punishment. Just clarity about what you can and cannot do, what you will and you will not accept. Now, here is another term. Now, this term is called weaponized boundaries. And weaponized boundaries look completely different. They come from anger. They come from a desire to punish, from wanting to control the other person. They might use the language of boundaries, but the energy behind it is completely different. It is, I am setting a boundary as a way to hurt you. I am using this language to shut you out and feel justified about it. Or maybe I am making you responsible for my feelings and I'm calling it a boundary. So, here is a simple test. Is this boundary about protecting yourself, or is it about controlling or punishing someone else? Is it coming from self-love, or is it coming from resentment? Are you clear about what you need, or are you trying to change their behavior? I think this one lands better. Are you clear about what you need, or are you simply trying to change their behavior? True boundaries protect your inner world. They do not try to control the outer world. And I understand, I know that the internet has made boundaries very trendy, but trendy does not always mean understood. The word is everywhere, but the essence is often missing. So, here is something that I feel is often missed, that boundaries are not just psychological, they are physiological also. They are more about your nervous system than about what you read. So, when your boundaries are violated, in whichever way, your nervous system responds straight away. You might go into fight, anger, irritation, wanting to push back. You might go into flight, anxiety, panic, wanting to escape. Or you might go into freeze. You shut down and you dissociate. A chronic boundary violation keeps you in a dysregulated state. Your system is always on alert and never quite safe. Good boundaries regulate your nervous system. They say, I am protected. I know what I can handle and what I cannot. I do not have to be constantly vigilant because I have a gate. And when you have clear boundaries, your system can then relax. It knows the tender places are protected. It does not have to run survival strategies all the time. In somatic language, boundaries keep you in your window of tolerance. They prevent you from being flooded or shut down, and they create conditions for regulation and healing. This is why boundaries are self-care in the truest sense. Not bubble baths and face masks, but actual protection of your nervous system from constant activation. Now, in a moment, I am going to guide you through a practice of connecting with boundaries. And we are going to do this differently than you might expect. Instead of starting with what you should say or do, we are going to start with your wounded parts. The parts of you that need protection. The tender places that boundaries are actually for. And when you understand your wounded parts, when you understand what your wounded parts need, boundaries become clearer. They are not rules that you impose from the outside, rather protection that you offer from the inside. Now, just letting yourself arrive here, feeling your body, feeling your breath, and feeling the support beneath you. Take a moment now and settle into presence. Safe, supported. Here, breathing, feet on the floor, hips on the chair, and my breath. I'm here. Now bring your attention inwards to the parts of you that feel tender, and they might be coming up as we were talking, or they might come up now. The wounded places in me, or the parts that carry pain or vulnerability. Now you might think of a part that has been hurt in relationships, a part that gets overwhelmed, or a part that feels unsafe in certain situations. Just sense that part or those parts. You do not have to see them clearly. Just acknowledge that they are there. Now ask these tender parts, what do you need to feel safe? What do you need to feel safe? And as you listen, you might get words, feelings, images. You might sense what situations feel threatening or what interactions are too much for you. What do your wounded parts need protection from? And this is not about blame. It is about understanding what your tender places cannot handle, what re-traumatizes them, and what overwhelms them. Now sense an area of your life where a boundary is needed. Where is the line in your life that says this is too much? And it might be a particular person, a situation, a type of conversation, an expectation, or somebody's behavior. Feel the boundary now not as a rule, but as a protection, a loving act, something you're doing for your wounded parts, not against anybody else. Once again, feel the boundary not as a rule, but as a protection, a loving act, something you're doing for your wounded parts and not against anybody else. Keep it simple and keep it about you. Now, if this boundary had words, what would they be? Maybe I am not available for this, or I need space, or this does not work for me, or simply no. See the situation, feel the words, not rehearsing, just sensing what your wounded parts need you to say. Now notice the energy behind the boundary. Is it loving, protective? Is there anger, resentment, punishment? If there is anger, that is okay. Anger often protects the tender places. But let the boundary itself come from love, come from self-love, come from protection. From this place, I am keeping my wounded part safe. Now say this silently to your tender parts. I will protect you. I will not let you be hurt in the same ways. And this boundary is for you. I will protect you. I will not let you be hurt in the same ways. This boundary is for you. Now imagine the boundary is in place. Feel what would it be like to have that protection in that situation with that person. And feel okay with it. Your tender parts know now that there is a gate. Not everything can get in, and they are protected. How does your body feel with that protection in place? How does your nervous system feel? This is what boundaries are for. This feeling, this safety. Feel it. And now gently bring your attention back. Your body, your breath. Take another deep breath now. So this small practice, connecting with boundaries from the inside out, not from a list of rules or scripts or books, but from actually feeling what your wounded parts need, and from understanding what you are protecting and why. Going forward, when you need to set a boundary, start here. Connect with a tender place in you that needs protection in that situation with that person. Feel into what it needs. And then let the boundary come from love for that part of you, not to punish anybody. This does not mean the boundary will be easy, and it does not mean there will be no pushback, but it will be clear and it will be coming from the right place. If you feel guilty when you set boundaries, and many people do, just remember, you're not being cruel, you're being protective. You are taking care of parts of you that did not get taken care of before. And that is not selfish. That is self-love in the truest sense. So once again, boundaries are not a buzzword to throw around. They are a sacred act of protection for your tenderest parts. Know your wounded parts. Know what they need. And just have the courage to protect them. You are worth protecting, all of you, especially the parts of you that have been hurt. So thank you for being here. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, namaste.